It's the Positivity podcast.
See what we did there?
Welcome to our brand new podcast where we bring you half an hour of happiness.
Kickstarting your week with us the right way.
Whether you join us on your commute,
Your weekly tidy up,
while you cook your favourite dinner,
or you listen to relax.
we've got you covered
So join me and Ellie every week
for a bit of positivity,
where we share hilarious and happy stories from around the globe.
as well as your own personal highlights.
Guaranteed to boost your mood and make you smile.
We bring your daily positivity to you, so look no further and make this positive podcast a part of your weekly routine.
And switch on the kettle and let's have a brew. Hello and welcome to the Positivity Podcast with us, Andy and Ellie.
Woo!
A woo! A woo indeed. Why are you wooing your own name? That's weird. Every Monday we want to kickstart your week the right way, spreading the positivity from around the world. We've got loads of different stories this week, and from the UK and beyond. So get ready for it, and hopefully we do make you smile.
Oh, we definitely will. Every single episode we have a different theme, and we asked you to get in touch last week and tell us your dating disaster stories. Have you got a lockdown rendition of when something went horribly wrong on a virtual date? When you received an awful DM or chat up line? Or have you got a dating horror story from pre-lockdown? Remember that time? So you got in touch and delivered the juicy stories as usual, and we cannot wait to share them with you, so stay tuned.
Absolutely. There's been some crackers this week, so I'm really excited for this one. And if you haven't been in touch, why not? Get in touch, tweet us, Facebook, Instagram, all our social handles are at Andy and Ellie UK. We want to put a smile on everyone's faces, even yours.
Even mine.
Even yours, yeah, even yours, Ellie.
Thank you. Even mine. Cheers, Andy. Well, this is going to put a smile on your face as well, because it definitely did mine. As Andy said, we always kick off the podcast by talk. I just did a U accent then, a podcast. I'm from Yorkshire, what am I on about?
Podcast.
We always kick off the podcast by talking through some of our favourite smile-worthy stories that have hit the headlines that week that we really want to share. So the first one, it is COVID related, but it has a happy ending. A nurse who lived in a caravan for 9 months to protect her mother from corona says moving back into her house was like winning the lottery. So let me explain. Sarah Link and her husband Gary, who usually share a home with her mother, bought a caravan in March to allow them to isolate. I have cried a river in that caravan. If it wasn't for Gary, I wouldn't have got through it, Mrs. Link said. So after 9 months, now that her mother has had the vaccine, they can finally move back in the house. So she's literally been living outside her mum's house in a £600 caravan for this whole time. She said, I would do it again tomorrow, anything for my mom.
Aw, adorable.
That's lovely.
I wouldn't do that.
Yes.
It'll be the other way round. My mum can be in the caravan and I'll be in the house.
That's so mean,
That
Andy.
is mean, isn't it? Okay,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't do that, but okay, I'm joking. I probably would. I've got one from Tina, who tweeted a photo of loads of pizza boxes which turned up this week at the Royal Stoke University Hospital. A bit of investigating revealed they were a gift from a group of sixth form students in the local area. The tweet prompted a huge outpouring of praise on social media, and Tina said, at a time when healthcare staff feel so low and deflated, responses like this remind us that we are supported. Tina also said the nurse who had been in charge on the day shift was in tears. She had barely eaten all day and was a little emotional.
Oh, we all get like that, you know.
We do get like that. That's me on a daily, let alone without the stress of the NHS, bless them.
I know.
Tina's post has been retweeted thousands of times, with some people saying they would copy the student's example.
Well, that's the whole point, isn't it? When you do a good thing, you're meant to start a chain reaction. So I'm so happy to hear that. In the middle of a chain reaction. Is that
good.
Steps?
Is it Steps?
Or is it Kylie?
No, it's Steps, isn't it? Yeah, it's definitely Steps.
Oh, I went to see Steps at the arena. It was brilliant. They were fantastic. Yeah.
How many of them?
Well, there was four.
4.
Because there's four. No, there was 5. There's 5 in Steps. There's H, the one that can sing the most, Claire, the one that lost loads of weight, and then 2 fillers, and then the one that's not gay and is really good looking. But I'm not saying H isn't good looking. Anyway, on to the third story. So, positive news for people in London this week. A tube map for walkers links London's green spaces. Just like red buses and black cabs, Harry Beck's map of the underground is a London icon. Sorry, inside joke. Andy's making me laugh. But while it helps millions of people navigate the tube every year in normal times, it is mostly useless for those travelling above ground. Enter Helen, a graphic designer who has dragged the map above ground and redesigned it to help walkers and cyclists travel across London amid the greenery. Instead of tube stations, the green ground map links up the city's urban oases. That's such a not. That's not how you say that word. From forests and cemeteries to parks and waterways, although exact routes aren't provided, the map does offer distances in an attempt for Helen to say that more people should cover ground in London on foot as opposed to using the tube.
There we go. So what is that? So that's basically the underground, but on the top.
Above ground. Ground. So basically just a map, but she full on sexed it up. So she's basically saying because people always just travel in the tube on like in London, they should like be above ground and walk the distance. I mean, I don't know how you would
walk the distance.
Nice try. Yeah, she wants people to be green fingered, Andy, and
green fingered. I would love to be green fingered.
I bet you would.
But blimey, but the whole point of a tram is to get there quicker. That's
the
opposite side of London.
London! You sound like Richard again. Don't do the impression though, because I've had enough off your TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
You know. Go on then, tell us your story.
I've got one from James Anderson, who was called to a home for a second opinion and caught a heating company who would attempt to con an elderly and disabled man out of £5,000.
Oh, thank God he was there.
Yeah, thank God he was like the superhero at the time. But basically, he was so disgusted and disheartened by seeing this that he decided to help out 10,000 families instead, as a kind of like a middle finger up to the people who are conning all these elderly people.
A
big FU. So the 53-year-old pledged to help disabled and elderly people with their plumbing and heating, whatever the cost.
Oh.
Yeah, but he has since branched out during the pandemic to provide food parcels, PPE, and even paying bills for people.
My gosh, what does he do as an actual job?
I think he's a plumber, isn't he? He must be.
But what? And he's
get quite
paying
a lot.
Everyone's bloody bills. You can come round my house.
Little things, yeah, exactly. A father of 6 children. He's got 6 children. Says he spent 57.
Too busy to be doing plumbing.
He's a man of everything. Maybe he's Johnny Sins, if anyone knows who Johnny Sins is. Anderson says he spent £57,000 during the pandemic alone, but added it was worth every penny. Wow. If it kept the people alive and warm, that's all that counts.
Yeah, but where has he got this funding from? Because he's not been out busking.
Saving it, not spending it on food and pizzas like me.
Like us, yeah. Well, that was nice, positive and exciting, and thank God they did end up getting that con geezer and something bigger came out of it, so that's brilliant. But this week we're discussing dating disaster stories, and it's always refreshing to talk about our own dating disasters, but of course we're going to tell you yours as well, because you got in touch and sent us some cracking ones. But if you're listening to this as it's going out, get in touch and tell us yours at Andy and Ellie UK on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Tell us your dating disaster stories and buckle up, because these are serious.
Okay, so just to be clear, Ellie, all of these are not mine, okay? I know people are probably expecting them to all be mine, all my relationship disasters, but I've just got the one, all right?
Just got the one. Okay.
So, going straight into this, okay? PG styled, none. I was doing some hanky-panky.
What do you mean by that?
The busy bees. The
busy bees?
The bees and the honey.
Was you having a shag? What, you just too... You can't, can you say
shag?
Mean,
thanks.
You're 25.
Yeah, but I meant more for everyone who's listening. I don't know if there could be younger audiences here.
They want to know.
All right, so I was doing, and I got a cramp in my leg, and yeah. I mean, I don't know how. I guess. Yeah. Okay. We won't go too into details. But my initial reaction was just to get up because it was just so painful, and I never really have cramp ever. So it was more of a shock and a what is this? You know.
What is this? Did
that's
you
what she says normally. But so I just had to get up because it was just so painful, and it was just first thing that came into my mind was that. But by doing so, I launched off the bed, alongside launching her as well.
Oh my god.
But the way I launched her was I kind of like kicked up with my legs, so I ended up kneeing her in the face. Yeah, but she wasn't bleeding or anything. But it's you know, have you ever been hit by a football?
Or
like
I
you
have
can kind
actually
of
on the back of the head. I actually
All
have,
right.
yeah.
So it's like that before the face, like you know when it feels a bit numb and bruised,
Oh my
but
god,
it
I
wasn't
can't believe
bleeding.
you did that.
I mean, I didn't mean to do it, but
Can I ask you an important question?
yes, she probably did like that.
No, did you carry on after?
Did we get? No, we didn't actually. I don't think we did.
that's
No, I
sad.
think it did kind of just ruin the mojo.
Did she speak to you ever again?
Yeah. We still spoke. Yeah.
I wouldn't have.
You wouldn't have.
No. I love how you were literally, right, you were saying, I can't say the word sex, but you've literally included a story of you having sexual intercourse on the podcast. You
Yes.
didn't have to do that.
No, but that's the only dating kind of thing that's gone wrong. I can't
So-
think of anything else that's kind of gone wrong in the dating scene as well as. I mean, we were kind of dating, so we'll go with
To
that.
be clear,
Yeah.
so you do it on the first date.
Negative. This was during the dating.
Okay,
Yeah.
but how long were you dating for?
2 days.
I didn't expect that from you. Jokes, I totally did. Right, well, that's just so obvious. Well, I've got a dating disaster story, and it definitely does not include such frolicking.
Yes, how rude. Slap on the wrist.
Disgusting. Bang.
Yes.
You probably like that. I don't know what your
interesting.
fetishes
We're
are.
getting too far.
Yeah, okay. Next week's topic is
Sins.
fetishes.
Sinning.
Yes, okay. So my absolute dating disaster, and it's the only dating disaster that I've ever really had, was when I was 16. So I'm 22 now, and my friend set me up with somebody. Yeah. So I'd just been in a relationship with someone. I say in a relationship, but like we were going out for like 8 months from when I was 14 to 15.
Yeah.
And I'm
not
a
really
bit of a
relationships.
no, not really, but like I really liked him. We kissed and stuff. So I kind of. I wasn't with anyone, obviously, for a while, and even then it feels cringy saying with someone because you're literally 16, but I was, at that point, I didn't realise that I'm a bit of a serial relationship. I don't like, I was going to say bang off people, I definitely don't do that, but I don't sort of jump from person to person, like I like being with someone for a long time. Anyway, enough of my history. So my friend set me up with somebody. I was 16, they were 18, and I met this guy, so we go to Pizza Express, and the first thing I noticed is that he had a boz eye. And that to me was ringing the alarm bells because I've got a problem with boz eyes. And it's a massive thing for me. Like, I had a teacher at secondary school who was so horrible. And I'm not saying that people with boz eyes are innately mean because they're clearly not. But I don't like boz eyes. Like, I've just got a thing with them.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't write someone off because they've got a lazy eye. But no, anyway. So we're on this date. I noticed the first hurdle, the boz eye. So we're talking, other than the boz eye, everything's going okay until, and I'm not blowing my own trumpet, this actually happened and it totally frightened me off. He was giving it all, you're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And okay, people might pull that out. But then he was going, will you be my girlfriend? Like, when can we go on a second date? I'd been there 40 minutes, right?
Oh, no.
Never spoke to him ever before in my entire life. Only spoke to him on like message about 2 days prior, and that was it. It was getting so weird. I was sat there. I was getting hot. Usually I can deal with weird confrontations, and the thing is as well with being in radio, so you do get messages off people and you kind of do just have to be nice. I'm not saying I'm not a nice person, but I am like, you're pleasant,
give him
aren't
benefit
you?
of the doubt, right?
Exactly. And it started getting even weirder when he was talking about marriage and kids. I was 16, right?
Wait, how old was he?
18.
Oh, dear.
So at least I was 16, but if I was 15, okay, it'd been like paedophile territory, but I was 16, so, and I wouldn't have gone otherwise.
That's still bad, but yeah.
It is defo still bad. But I was getting such weird vibes, I told my dad to come pick me up, and I made up an excuse and told him that I had to go, right? As I was waiting outside, and he was waiting with me, he was trying to kiss me. How I was literally giving off, like, not interested vibes. I wasn't being nasty, and I wasn't being horrible, but I was 16, I didn't know how to say straight up, like, I'm not interested, but I wasn't giving him anything, I wasn't looking at him in the eye, so why you thought that he wanted to plonk one on me, I don't know. Anyway, I allowed him to give me a hug, and then I absolutely bloody effing bolted, right? Then all these messages came after that, after I'd very politely explained when I got home that I wasn't bothered, and then he starts messaging me, can we still be friends? I thought, still, what? Like, this is just getting better and better. I said, we were never friends to start with. I don't know you and I'm not interested. So obviously I had to block him.
No.
This is where the story gets super
worse.
spicy, spicy. So, a few years later, I'm 18, I go to university, right? I found out not long after he'd actually seen me that he already had a girlfriend. So, fast forward 2 years, I'm in my university class. Who's in my university class? His girlfriend. Now, I'm very aware that she knows that I met him. Total hands up, I did not know that he had a girlfriend. I was set up on that date. Like, it was totally weird. I never spoke to him again. Nothing happened. And one of my friends that I'd made at uni said to me, is it true? And I'm not even going to say her name as a joke because that actually will cause shite, but said to me, did you go on a date with so-and-so's boyfriend a few years ago? And I was like, what are you on about? And then I just said, like, yeah, I did, but I didn't know if she knows, and does she think that I, like, pursued him or what? And I explained how weird he was. Yeah. And then my friend was like, oh my God, I totally get it. Like, that is so bizarre. But how bizarre? Nearly missed my chance there. But she thinks, right, so he came and met me and then went home to her. Years later, she finds out, and then she's like, oh my gosh, you tried to go on a date with my boyfriend. I was like, rewind the story, sister. That is not what happened. No. But they live together now, so
what? Let's do it together.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, they're absolutely loaded.
So
They've been
creepy.
together like 7 years now. Or no, it must be 8 because they were going out from pre-me.
Oh my God. So he was 18. How old was she? 16 as well.
Yeah. So my age.
That's alarms, really. But
yeah, raw. Yeah. Anyway.
We'll move on from that one. Blimey.
I know. Should we hear about other people's dating disasters?
Let's do it. I'm excited.
This week we asked people to get in touch on our social media and tell us their dating disaster stories to really give people something to full on cringe at.
And if you're listening and you want to share your moment and something comes into your head, you're like, oh, that was horrible. Do you remember that really bad date? Get in touch at Andy and Ellie UK on all our social medias to be featured on the show.
We'll tell you later. Like...
Go on.
You kind of sounded like a bit of a pirate then.
Oh, no. If you want to share your moment where you're listening. Oh, that's Irish.
I don't even know. Andy, shut up. Anyway, so we're going to get to the interaction now. Hayley got in touch on Twitter. She was the girl who got in touch last week, and if this is out of context, then you need to go and watch last week's episode. It's episode 6, A Rumpus in the Cupboard. She told us a funny work story about finding a glass dildo in a drainage block at work. So she got back in touch on Twitter and said this is her dating disaster story. So she met a lad.
Yeah.
He didn't drive. I'm going to read this the way she's written it, so I'm talking in first person, but it's obviously not me.
Yeah, gotcha.
So he didn't drive, so I drove to Barnsley, which no big deal, but he didn't seem very willing to meet halfway. First red flag. We went bowling, which was fine, and then he took me to Weatherspoons, alright, which no big deal. But then he started getting weird, and disclaimer before the next part, I don't ever expect a guy to just pay for me, but he ordered for himself and left me stood there awkwardly without saying anything, and he just ordered a burger and chips. So I had swim training later that day, so didn't want too much, and just ordered a bowl of chips. He then proceeded to talk about himself and all the people he had attempted to date. That's
what?
so weird. She says, which was ... riveting. Anyway, food comes and he reaches over and steals chips from my bowl.
Oh
my God, I could not with this. I'm getting tight-chested thinking about it. Even though he had his own on his plate, he then turns to me and he's like, oh, let me guess, Joey doesn't share food. I'm a Friends fan, but even I was like, I would be too, Hayley. Anyways, to wrap it up, he walks me back to my car. I'm dreading this. He turns to me and says bye and tries to plant a kiss. I swerved it on the cheek and simply said thank you, got in my car and drove away. He then texted me and was like, oh, I think it went really well. I'd love to do it again sometime. This is what I don't understand about men not getting signals. Like, what is wrong with you? I'm sure it's, the other way around with women as well, as we will see from these stories. But she said, I was just like, I'm really sorry, but I'm not feeling it. And this is the worst bit of it all. He then sent me what I can only describe as an essay as to why this always happens to him and what's wrong with him. I haven't seen or spoken to him since. Good girl, because I wouldn't either.
No, I wouldn't either. I mean, not saying I'd go on a date with him, but yeah, no. Definitely Definitely wouldn't.
That's the worst.
That
Why
was-
wrap it up
it's a bit
saying
bad,
this
isn't
always
it?
happens? Like,
This always
it's a
happens.
surprise. This always happens to me.
Why is it always me? I can't see what I'm doing wrong. How can you not see what's going on?
I don't know.
Oh, dear.
Stupid.
So mine's not been sent in, but this one is something I saw on Twitter which kind of went viral, and it's got thousands and thousands of retweets and interactions, and I just thought it was brilliant. So there's this couple called Salma and Finley. Salma is in France, Finley lives in Edinburgh, and they've been dating for like 4 years and things like that. So the fail came when Salma was like, I really want to surprise Finley. So Salma got on booked a flight, went to go see him, and can you guess the ending?
No, what happened?
Okay. Finley did the same thing the same day and booked a flight to France to see
so
her.
Weird.
So Salma went to Edinburgh whilst Finley went to France to go see each other. So they ended up just switching places. So I think it's not really it's a fail, but it's a win at the same time. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a brilliant story to tell your kids.
God.
If they're still together. I think they're still together, very much still together, because they posted about it. So yeah, of course they're still together. So it's lovely. So yeah, it's a fail, but it's brilliant. I mean, I don't know, Edinburgh or France. I think I'd rather go France, but
Yeah.
I think it's just beautiful, isn't it? Look at them.
It's nice commitment, but at the same time, you just wasted a few grand.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we put a post on Facebook later saying that anyone in France wants to meet up because I've been stuck here for a day.
Oh,
so you had to wait a whole day before we could go back again.
Well, from people that are actually in love to a very dodgy DM love story. So Sam got in touch to tell us she kept getting harassed by this boy online who kept reacting to her
You're going to have to pause it
stories.
here, Ellie. We need to make a little caution sign just to say that it's not always the guys, okay? Not every...
No.
I mean, it's looking like it's that way at the moment, but yeah, it's okay. It's okay. There are some nice guys out there.
Let me just say, there is a story down below, is about an absolute mess of a female, so
Perfect.
don't you worry.
Good.
The stories are
lovely.
coming.
Good. Please continue. Thanks.
If people don't know, I mean, you should do unless you live under an actual rock. When you post a story on Instagram, people can react to it, so they can put an emoji like clapping or heart eyes or whatever. So this boy kept sending heart eyes to literally every single post she put on a story. He would react to it. So eventually, she was like, "Can you stop doing that, please? Like, I don't know why you're doing it." This guy literally wrote paragraphs and paragraphs confessing his love to her because what she'd now done was she'd broke the cycle of him just reacting to her stories, and she'd actually made the first step out to communication.
Smart.
Clearly he's unhinged, no social cues present at all. He was just being over the top and bizarre. She said, like, "I'm sorry, I'm not interested." And this is the weirdest bit. He replied with, "Neither am I. Stop messaging me." She was so confused. Like, she didn't even know what's going on. This guy had been hounding her for months and months, and then she finally, makes contact and says, "What you doing?" He confesses her love. She's like, "I'm not interested," and then he goes, "Neither am I." Kind of weird, man.
Why didn't she just block him?
I don't know. Sometimes that's to play with people, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It's one less follower if she blocks him, isn't it?
Yeah, that's no good. It's all about the interaction growing the media these days.
Fumey. So Jessie said she was taken on a really fancy restaurant, and when she was alone for a second, the waiter came over and said that she was the third one this week.
Oh my God.
Let alone
what
two.
Would you even do? What would you do?
I don't know. I'd just leave. But he can pay for it then. He obviously likes a restaurant nice enough if he's been there 3 times in a week.
Oh my God.
So I'll just dip. I'd be like, sorry.
Imagine if it was a Monday and someone had been there breakfast, lunch, and she was doing
A full 3-course deal.
Yeah.
Oh, that is brilliant. Yes.
Oh, it could have been. I want to know what day that was on. You need
No,
to find out.
but now I'm picturing a first date having Cheerios together.
Yeah, like I don't know, like breakfast at
breakfast,
Spoons.
yeah.
Then you get the burger, and then in the evening you might go for a steak. I mean, all Spoons food is awful, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, this is what we've been waiting for. So a story about a messy girl, so the men don't feel like it's all about them.
Woohoo!
So Owen got in touch to say he went out on a date with a girl first year of uni who we met on Tinder. You're the king of that, Andy, so you'll know more about it than me. So
Thank you.
firstly,
That's probably not a good thing actually, but yeah.
No, it's definitely also not. So firstly, she looked nothing like the photos, which is never good. Then they went to Nando's, which is good. She proceeded to get extra hot on everything, which I can actually relate to because my order is always extra hot. But spoiler, disclaimer, and this is true, so I cannot get sued. Extra hot does not actually exist. Yeah, they have the Vusa sauce, but my mate works at Nando's like he lives and breathes it. I think he's going to own it one day. And apparently they just put hot on twice. So you're being conned there.
Hot on twice?
Anyway, yeah, they just put hot on twice.
Extra amount on.
Yeah, that's all it
that
is.
makes sense.
So I suppose it is extra hot, but
Yeah.
it don't really matter, does it? So after she'd eaten it, she kept openly farting in front of him.
What?
This is a first date, bearing in mind. So they went to Spoons for drinks. There's a Spoons theme here. So the first half an hour she spent on the toilet. When she came back down, she ordered 3 double gins via the app, because you can do that in Spoons, again, if you don't live under a rock, and drank them all within 20 minutes. Bloody hell, I'd have been on the floor. So apparently they went completely to her head and she was acting ridiculous. So bear in mind, they'd never met before this day. And
Yeah.
eventually he said to her, like, you need to slow down. Like, I'm going to call you a taxi. What you're playing at? Because she was just being stupid. So then she started accusing him of not respecting women's rights.
Oh, no.
And telling him what to do. I laugh about that, but on a serious note, it's a really dangerous situation to be in because it's not cool when girls play that. So he said it got so
Rude.
bizarre to the point that, as if it wasn't bad enough already, he had no option but to go and explain to the staff in Weatherspoons what was going on. They ordered her a taxi home and then he just blocked her. And I would have done the
yeah.
same. I would have
No,
done the same.
yeah.
Imagine. You don't want that.
That's all over the place, really, that whole story.
I know.
That doesn't get better. It gets worse and just incredibly
Imagine
bad stages.
someone goes from pooping in front of you, well, having the odd
Having a toot. Yeah.
having a toot, yeah. And then she's like on the floor basically, and then she's saying that you don't respect the suffragette movement. It's like, well, that, you know,
yeah. She's
not
obviously
for
drunk
you,
at that stage, right?
Oh,
to try
God,
and claim that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
obviously,
my
Andy.
days. Amazing. All right, from one long story to another short story here, but short and simple. Gonna be that short and simple. That's hearsay, that is. Don't know if you know
Is
hearsay.
it?
Too
Of course
young for your
not.
age. Too old for your age. Yeah. I don't think you know, do you? Do you know who
Yeah, I
hearsay
do
are?
know who bloody hearsay
Okay, but you don't know
are.
the song.
No.
Okay, there we are. Thank you. So, Grant was about to leave his date after a successful meal, and it went really well. He went in for a goodbye hug, but tripped on the doormat, which led him to
Oh,
tackling
no.
her into the door.
Oh no, that's no good.
That's not good.
That is not
I mean, I don't know. I guess it's an accident, but at the same time, she might be like, "Oh, that's very smart play there." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe
What?
she thought he did that purposely,
What, a quickie
like-
in the doorway?
be able to hold on to her. But I guess that's more embarrassing. Yeah, no. I mean, Grant doesn't seem like the type of guy to do that, but.
I feel like
That's
if you're
what
not cool enough to just go in for the kiss anyway after it's gone well, you don't then, you know,
Yeah.
try to tackle someone to the ground. That is not the way to go
I mean, he didn't
forward.
mean to. He tripped on the doormat, but
He tripped on the
he
doormat.
tripped on the doormat. That sounds like a
Maybe
lie, but it's obviously not. But it sounds like, oh, I tripped on the doormat. Like,
Yeah.
ooh.
I
Like
feel
you
like
added
that's
it in there.
a good name for the episode as well. Tripped on the doormat.
Tripped
Just
on the
because it's
doormat.
stupid. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, so second to last story then, it's another long one. Holly got in touch to say she had the most awkward date of her life when she was 18. So I went to uni with this girl, so I do know her. She was at uni and she'd been chatting to this boy a few floors below her in her halls. He invited her down and said he would cook her dinner. That's what we like, which she thought was cute and romantic. So she gets herself looking nice. The girls' night out standard of jeans and a nice top was in full force. She goes down for 7 p.m. He says she can expect a really nice steak with chips, garlic sauce, red wine, the whole shebang, you know, big fat Friday night especially, got it all. Really pushing the boat out. She knocks on the door. He opens it. They say hello, get all the niceties out the way. The awkwardness, because she'd not met him in real life. Again, just above her in halls. She goes through to the kitchen to see his mum and dad sat there. Okay, right? He was like, guess you can meet the parents already. They're staying for a bit. Mum wants to know how I cook the steak. We've been out for the day, you see. What can I just give?
No.
Capital double TF, because what is going on? She was absolutely mortified. She was sat there, in her own words, dressed like a little hoe, in front of a boy she'd never met, his parents, watching him cook a steak. She said she wanted the ground to literally swallow a whole, but she had to ride it out. Eventually, when the parents had left and she'd had a wine, she confronted him about it, because that's what happens when girls get confident. They like a little bit of confrontation.
Yeah.
He said he didn't think it was weird and that she was overreacting. They then had a row about it, and she went back upstairs and they didn't speak again.
Oh, no.
So
there's half a steak left.
Yeah, there's that. But why on earth, if you've been out for the day with your parents, why would you not mention, like, can you go please, I'm on a date, or let the girl know?
Yeah. Or my parents are here, will you be okay with it? Like, there wasn't even a warning to her. I think that's the main thing.
Nothing.
Because you said that she wasn't dressed up and stuff, so she maybe felt a bit like, a
bit naked, little hoe.
Yeah. But at least it wasn't like they had just, fumbled and then came out together and then their parents are there. I think that would be worse.
If you're knocking one out with the girl that you've just met and your parents are sat waiting for you to cook dinner for them, that is a bit of a bizarre situation.
Yeah, that's a bit weird. Very weird. That's warning signs there. So, James, here's a nice little singing one, Ellie. I know you'll like this song. James once took a girl out to karaoke. I don't think that's exactly where James took her straight away, though. Just to be clear, I think they had a few drinks before, and then they said, let's go to the karaoke. Yeah, So it wasn't just a, this will be a fun date. Anyway, she ended up singing "I Will Always Love You" by Whitney Houston. Houston. I don't know why I said Houston like that, but Whitney Houston. Do you know the one?
Of course. I will always love you.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But the worst part is she began crying halfway through, and when the song was over, she ended up dedicating it to her ex.
Oh my God, the fear. I
don't know what happened after, but when James, get back in touch, mate. We want to know what happens at the end. Did you just walk away?
After?
I don't know. That's what I need to know.
There. I hope he left her there, Andy.
I think so. I think that's kind of like a gay, not my cup of tea. Like,
going with the tea theme, if you want to have your cup of positivity featured on the show, not necessarily positive, just going with the week's theme, then what are you waiting for? Drop us a message and give us a follow on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter at Andy and Ellie UK. And later on in the show, we'll let you know what next week's theme is so you can get your submissions in. On to Overbrewed now then. So not everybody seems to share the same excitement when it comes to positivity. Stay with me on this. Sometimes maybe you felt a little bit annoyed that someone is so overly happy, or something has happened which you really should be quite pleased about, but you're not really. So Overbrewed is a section of positivity where we just let it all out and discuss some things that everybody else seems to get excited about, but really it just irks you from within your core. Of course, it would make sense to link it in with this week's theme, so let me know.
Okay, so my Overbrewed, Ellie, is, and to be honest, I used to do this, but I kind of don't do it anymore, is when people text you 20 lines at a time.
Oh.
Yeah. Ugh. Was that
an
agreement?
I don't do that.
Oh, okay.
No,
good.
I do that.
Oh, you do that?
Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, 3 or 4 max, right? Max.
Okay, maybe not 20 then.
But
maybe
not 20. There's literally a case where people were doing it, like, that could have been one paragraph.
Yeah,
like, you didn't have to follow up, let it be there in one sentence for me to respond to. But yeah, I think that's kind of it. And also, along with the dating scene as well, it's like when people are very unsure on how quick they want to respond, I think that's something that irks me. Like, they can reply really quickly once, and it'll be 3 days later, and it'll be the same again, and then it'll be 3 days later. And, do you know what I mean? It's like, okay.
I think the other thing with that as well is putting that ground out there. So, when you first start chatting to someone, how often are you supposed to speak to them? How many questions? How do you make big texts? Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, texting, that can go in our kind of room 101 for Overbrewed this week. So with the theme of dating disasters, so for me, it really, really annoys me that some girls expect blokes to pick up the bill, right? And the reason this annoys me so much is because I just think, and don't get me wrong, this isn't anything to do with, like, equality, because some, middle-aged fat blokes that have the English flag outside the house will be like, women want equal rights, but then they expect the blokes to foot the bill. It's got all to do with equal rights. It's about just not being a knob. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like if you're going out and you don't take all your money with you, or you don't even offer to pay half,
that's the main one.
That is not good. I think it's silly. I think it's entitled. Like, hopefully, most blokes will actually be like, "Oh yeah, no, I'll pay for it, right?" But I don't let them. Like, if I'm in that situation, I always pay half. And I'm not saying that I'm, some kind of god that we should all follow, but I just think, in a way, it's an example that girls should lead by. Don't expect men to foot the bloody bill.
And also, guys, if you're not saying you want to pay at the start, then you're on the wrong. Firstly, you've got to kind of suggest. Well, I guess if it depends how long you've been dating, right? But if you've been dating for a few times, and you're saying, no, I did this because I want to go on a date with you. I want to take you to dinner, so I'll pay for this. I think that's separate to girls expecting, not even offering.
God, yeah.
And it's the same on Tinder as well. Tinder's a similar thing. It's when they say, don't expect me to message first. I'm like, don't you worry, I've already swiped left because of you arrogant little sod.
That's not good.
Yeah, no, hey people, get that out of your bio ASAP.
I mean, I'm not on Tinder, so I can't relate, but I have heard about that. It's just why are you already making, giving off a bad impression?
Yeah,
but
very much so.
It's just not good. Enough of the negativity on the Positivity podcast. So coming towards the end of the show. God, it's gone quick today. We always want to pour some sugar in the form of a positive story that caught our attention from across the globe.
So you know that what happened in America recently with the whole kind of intrusion of the Capitol building?
Of course, yes.
Yeah. So there was a police officer there who has been hailed as a hero because basically he steered the mob away from the Senate chambers during last week's riots. So, like where all the important people were, they were kind of a bit trapped where they were at the time and stuff.
Yeah.
So he'd kind of noticed people were coming close to the area, so he kind of like shoulder barged one of the rioters, and then they started kind of not chasing him but kind of coming at him. So he managed to steer them all away from the Senate chambers and potentially have saved lives because obviously they were very much against them. So who knows what would happen if they stormed inside there and
well
getting
done,
them somewhere
Eugene
else.
Goodman. Then
well
that's
done.
what we like. Okay, good for him. We're kind of moving over from more serious to kind of like very the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So we're
variety.
over to
We like variety.
Oh, of course we do. Over to the app TikTok for this one, raising money for over 1 million struggling actors in such a brilliant way. So some dreams seem nearly impossible, like becoming a chef in a top Parisian restaurant when you're a rodent, or staging a brand new Broadway musical during an ongoing pandemic when theatres worldwide are dark, or finding a way to combine both and raise more than $1 million to benefit charity. Well, that's just what happened when the curtains rose on Ratatouille, the TikTok musical. I imagine you liked Ratatouille, do you?
Yeah, I mean, it's not... I liked it, but I wouldn't be obsessed with it.
Well, I don't know. I don't know why. I genuinely don't know why, but I just think you'd love Ratatouille. It's just funny. So back in August of 2020, 26-year-old school teacher Emily, a devoted Disney fan and Ratatouille aficionado, learned that a themed attraction based on Remy and his crew was scheduled to open at Walt Disney World in Florida that coming year. But as it couldn't happen due to Corona, she got people on board with creating a virtual show. The original video came out in October. Soon after, enthusiastic TikTokers began putting up their own contributions to the virtual show. What started as a snowball became an avalanche. That's very sexy. So
nice
with the
metaphor.
With the wave of its magic wand, Disney gave Seaview Productions the green light to produce a fully fledged musical as a benefit performance in aid of the Actors Fund. So, I've got a few names in here. Starring Titus Burgess as Remy and co-starring Wayne Brady, Adam Lambert, Kevin Chamberlain, Andrew Barth Feldman, Priscilla Lopez, Ashley Parks, Andre DeShields, Owen Tabaka and Mary Tester. Since its January 1st premiere, Ratatouille, the TikTok musical, has raised more than $1 million for the Actors Fund. How
Amazing.
brilliant!
I need to see it then. I need to go watch that.
Yeah, you
I'll watch it
definitely
afterwards.
do.
I'll watch it afterwards.
I
Because I saw
saw
people
some-
were doing auditions, wasn't they? They were kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, that was awesome. Yeah, some good auditions for that. That's a brilliant idea. All just from TikTok as well.
Yeah, well, TikTok's such a fantastic platform for growing things like that. Like, things catch on so much, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
Like, we won't repeat it to its full extent, but, you know, Kim and Kanye, apparently Kim's filed for divorce. And there was a rumour, somebody started a rumour on TikTok that the reason is because Kanye and Jeffree Star have been at it.
What?
Which is obviously not true. Did you not see this? It was trending on Twitter. Andy.
No,
It
I
was
didn't see
huge.
this. Oh,
So it's-
yes, and somebody did
Did
say
you
that she
see it?
apologised. She said that she made it up. Was
yeah.
that right? Yeah, okay,
it's
thank
true.
goodness.
But it got so, like, I'm not joking you, it was trending on Twitter within minutes. This girl
That is
just made up a
crazy.
joke. And the problem is, the problem with that is that Kanye has been openly homophobic in the past, and Jeffree has been openly racist in the past. So that partnership was
Oh,
never
yeah.
going to work anyway.
No.
But I think it was just something that was just so unlikely. Anyway, we are at the end of the show now. It's time
are
for me and Andy
indeed.
to retire from talking.
Time.
Yeah,
Yes.
you know.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. And don't forget, if you want to be featured in next week's show, you can do Facebook, Insta, and Twitter at Andy and Ellie UK.
Don't forget, next week then, we're going to tell you the theme right now, so keep them ears open if they weren't already. So next week's theme is all about funny school stories, funny childhood memories of when you were either at primary school, secondary school, or maybe uni. If you're a bit more grown up and you're not necessarily fresh out of uni, but not too old, you're not an OAP, then let us know of your funny school memories. But until then, you know how to get in touch with us, and see you next week.
Bye!